Picture this. It's your wedding day. The music swells. Guests rise. But your father, the man who raised you, refuses to take your arm. Not because of something you did, but because your sister, the golden child, demanded you not steal her spotlight. You freeze. Alone. Shattered. Until someone unexpected steps forward. And when your father sees who it is, he breaks. Because sometimes the truth hits hardest when it's walking you down the aisle. My name is Celia Rowe, and I'm 27 years old. People say weddings are supposed to be the happiest day of your life. For me, it was the day all the cracks in my family finally split open for the world to see. I grew up in a small Pennsylvania town, the second daughter in a house where love wasn't divided equally. My sister, Celeste, was the star. Straight A's. Cheerleading captain. The one who would go far. And me? I was the shadow. Quiet. Steady. The one who cleaned up her messes and never asked for credit. Until my senior year. For once, I had a moment. I'd worked my heart out for a scholarship. Late nights, early mornings, grades scraped from pure grit. And the day the award was announced, my name rang out. But before I could even stand, Celeste was on her feet. Hugging the presenter. Smiling for the cameras. Saying, "We're so proud." The photos in the local paper the next day? They showed her face, not mine. My name was buried in the caption. And my parents? They didn't correct it. Didn't defend me. They told me I was being dramatic. She was just excited for you. That was the moment I learned. In my family, Celeste's spotlight was sacred. Even if it meant snuffing mine out. Fast forward a decade. I'd built my own life. Far from her shadow. A job. Friends. A man who loved me, really loved me. When we got engaged, I thought maybe this time it would be about me. But families don't rewrite their scripts so easily. The morning of my wedding, my father pulled me aside. His face was tight, voice low. "Celia," he said, "Celeste feels uncomfortable. She doesn't want you making this day about yourself. She asked me not to walk you down the aisle. She doesn't want you in the spotlight." My stomach dropped. "Dad. It's my wedding." He didn't meet my eyes. "Don't make this harder. She's your sister." I felt the world tilt. The music was starting. Guests were waiting. My dress itched against skin that suddenly felt foreign. And my father, my anchor, was telling me I was alone. But as I stood trembling at the back of that aisle, something shifted. Because if he wouldn't stand by me, someone else would. And who it was shook the entire room. The music began. Soft. Slow. Sacred. I stood at the double doors of the chapel, clutching my bouquet so tight the stems dug into my palms. My father wasn't beside me. His absence burned like a hole in my chest. For a heartbeat, the world blurred. The whispers of guests. The shimmer of the chandelier. The weight of eyes waiting for me to step forward. And then, footsteps. I turned. It wasn't my father. It wasn't a bridesmaid. It was my mother's brother, Uncle Ray. Ray the black sheep. The man my father never respected, the one who worked construction jobs and showed up to holidays in work boots while everyone else wore pressed shirts. The uncle who never judged me, who once slipped me $50, just because you deserve to treat yourself. He extended his arm, eyes steady. "I'll walk you," he said quietly. My throat tightened. "Uncle Ray." He shook his head. "Don't argue. You're not walking alone." The music swelled. Guests turned in confusion. Some gasped, whispering. My father, seated near the front, froze. His face drained of color. Because this was rebellion, clear as day. Ray placed my hand on his arm. My knees wobbled, but he steadied me with a look that said, "I've got you." And we stepped forward. One step. Then another. The aisle stretched long, but with each stride, my shame turned into strength. I could feel my father's eyes boring into us. My sister Celeste, sitting smugly in the second row, shifted uncomfortably. She hadn't expected this. She thought I'd crumble. That I'd slink down the aisle alone, shoulders hunched, humiliation stamped on my face. But here I was. Standing tall. Arm linked with a man who chose me. Halfway down the aisle, I risked a glance. My father's jaw was clenched, his knuckles white as he gripped the pew. Rage and something else, shame, flickered across his face. And in that flicker I knew. He was cracking. Because for the first time, someone had filled the space he'd abandoned. And the church saw it. The whispers weren't about me anymore. They were about him. The father who refused his daughter. Ray leaned close, murmuring, "Hold your head high, kid. Let them see who you are." And I did. By the time we reached the altar, my chest wasn't heavy anymore. My fiancé's eyes glistened with pride. My friends smiled through tears. The crowd wasn't pitying me. They were admiring me. And my father. He was left to sit there, broken by the sight of who had stepped in. But that was only the beginning. Because Celeste? She wasn't done trying to steal my moment. And this time, I was ready for her. The ceremony began, but I could feel it. Celeste's glare drilling into me from the second row. Her plan had been simple. Cut me down before I even reached the altar. Humiliate me. Make me small. And yet here I stood, head high, Uncle Ray beside me, love radiating from every corner of the chapel. But Celeste never accepted losing. As the officiant spoke, her hand shot up. A dramatic gesture, like she was answering a question only she could solve. "Excuse me," she said loudly. "Before this continues, I need to say something." A ripple of gasps moved through the crowd. My stomach dropped. The officiant blinked. "Ma'am, please." But she stood, ignoring him. Her dress glittered, sequins catching the light as if she were the bride. She turned toward the crowd, voice trembling with faux sincerity. "I love my sister, but I can't let this go on without telling the truth. She's always tried to make herself the victim. She's not who you think she is." Murmurs erupted. My father shifted uncomfortably. My mother buried her face in her hands. And me? My hands tightened around my bouquet, nails digging into my palms. This was the same tactic she'd used years ago at my scholarship ceremony. Twist the story. Seize the spotlight. Make me look small while she shone. But something inside me snapped. Not this time. I stepped forward, my voice sharp but steady. "Celeste, sit down." She froze. The firmness in my voice silenced the crowd. "I let you steal my moment once," I said, my voice rising. "I let you take my scholarship spotlight, smile for the cameras while I stood in the shadows. But this..." I gestured to my fiancé, my guests, the altar. "This is mine. And I won't let you take it." The room held its breath. Celeste's face flushed red, but she didn't sit. Not yet. She trembled with rage, her eyes darting toward Dad, as if waiting for him to back her. And for a second I feared he might. But when I looked closer, I saw it. Hesitation. Cracks in his armor. He was starting to realize what the world saw now. His silence, his favoritism, his refusal to walk me down the aisle. And Celeste? She was unraveling in front of everyone. The officiant tried to regain control. "Please, let's return to the ceremony." But Celeste wouldn't stop. She clutched her chest dramatically, voice trembling. "I just want what's best for her. She's impulsive, selfish. Dad and I have always had to protect her from herself." Protect me? The hypocrisy stung like glass. I turned toward the guests, my voice calm but cutting. Protected me? Or silenced me? "Because there's a difference." Gasps. Eyes widened. Celeste's facade cracked. Her hands shook. She looked at Dad again, desperate. "Say something. Back me up." All eyes turned to him. The man who had refused to walk me down the aisle. The man who had always let her take center stage. He opened his mouth. Closed it. His jaw clenched. Finally he whispered, "Celeste, enough." Her head snapped toward him, stunned. "Dad." He rose slowly from the pew. His face looked older than I'd ever seen it, lined with shame. "I can't keep doing this. Not today. Not anymore." The room held its breath. Celeste stammered. "But you promised." He shook his head. "No. I promised to be a father. And I failed. I failed her." He looked at me, his voice breaking. "Cillian. I should have walked you. I should have been there." My throat tightened. Celeste's face twisted, fury and panic colliding. She lunged forward, desperate to stop him from speaking, but Mom caught her arm whispering, "Sit down." For the first time in my life, my parents weren't shielding her. They were seeing me. The officiant cleared his throat, awkward but gentle. "Shall we continue?" I nodded, tears blurring my vision. Uncle Ray squeezed my hand. And as the ceremony moved forward, my father stayed standing, watching, broken, as the daughter he had silenced found her voice in front of everyone. But the cracks in him weren't just guilt. They were the beginning of something he could never undo. The ceremony continued, but the air was electric. Every vow, every word from the officiant, felt suspended in that strange stillness where the past and present collided. My father remained standing in the front row, as if tethered by guilt. His eyes never left me. Uncle Ray leaned closer, whispering, "Keep your chin up. He needs to see what strength looks like." I did. My voice didn't waver as I said my vows. My hands didn't shake as I slid the ring on. But then, as the officiant prepared to declare us husband and wife, something unexpected happened. My father stepped into the aisle. Gasps rippled through the church. Celeste's jaw dropped. He walked forward slowly, his face pale, eyes glassy. And then he bowed his head. "I should have been here from the beginning," he said, his voice breaking. "But if it's not too late, I want to walk my daughter these last steps." The room fell silent. Even the music paused. Uncle Ray looked at me, waiting for my decision. Every memory flashed. Scholarship stolen, years in her shadow, the sting of him refusing me only hours before. And yet here he was, raw, stripped of pride, asking for forgiveness in front of everyone. I placed my bouquet in Ray's hand and nodded. Dad extended his arm. Tentative. Trembling. I took it. We walked the final 3 steps together. 3 steps that carried decades of silence, favoritism, and pain, and finally cracked them open. When we reached the altar, I whispered, barely audible, "Thank you for showing up now." His eyes filled. "I should have sooner." Celeste looked like the ground had been ripped from beneath her. She sank back into her seat, fists clenched, fury unspoken. But the guests? They were weeping, smiling, witnessing something more than a wedding. They were watching a father finally see his daughter. And as the officiant declared us husband and wife, I realized, this day wasn't stolen. Not anymore. It was mine. The applause swelled as the officiant declared us husband and wife. My new husband kissed me, and for a moment, everything else disappeared. But peace never lasted long in my family. As the music started and we turned to face the guests, Celeste stood again. Her heels clicked against the marble floor, echoing like gunshots. "Unbelievable," she hissed, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You've always stolen attention. Even today, you forced Dad into this ridiculous performance." The joy drained from the room. Guests exchanged nervous glances. My father's face hardened. "Celeste, stop." But she was unraveling, her mask gone. "No. She manipulates everyone into feeling sorry for her. She's selfish. Ungrateful. And you," she jabbed a finger at me, "you don't deserve this day." Gasps spread through the pews. My stomach twisted, but I didn't shrink this time. I handed my bouquet to my husband, stepped forward, and faced her. "Celeste, you took my scholarship. You took my moments. And for years I let you. But not anymore. This is my wedding. My life. You can't take this." Her eyes blazed. "You think you've won because Dad finally noticed you? Pathetic." And then, Dad stepped between us. His voice was sharp, firmer than I'd ever heard. "Enough. I failed Celian once today. I won't fail her again. Sit down, Celeste." The church went silent. Celeste froze, stunned. For the first time, he wasn't backing her. He wasn't protecting her ego. He was protecting me. She laughed bitterly, but it cracked. "So now she's the golden child? Now you all clap for her." "Not golden," Dad said quietly. "Just finally seen." The word struck me like a chord I'd been waiting my whole life to hear. Celeste's fury boiled over. "You'll regret this. Both of you." She grabbed her purse, stormed down the aisle, and slammed the doors behind her. The sound reverberated like thunder. Silence lingered. Then, slowly, the music rose again. Guests stood, clapping, Not for the chaos, but for us. Dad turned to me, voice breaking. I can't undo the past. But I can choose differently now. If you'll let me. Tears blurred my vision. 4 years, I'd begged for scraps of acknowledgement. Now, standing in my wedding dress, I finally had it. I nodded. Then walk with me, Dad. Just walk forward. And this time he did. Together. The reception buzzed with warmth, but whispers about Celeste's exit lingered like smoke. Still, for once, I didn't care. I stood with my husband, laughter and clinking glasses filling the hall. Dad hovered nearby, quieter than usual, like a man carrying a lifetime of regret. Eventually he asked, "Can we talk?" We slipped outside into the cool evening air. The fairy lights above us swayed gently. "I was wrong," he began, voice thick. "For years, I thought keeping peace meant giving in to Celeste. I thought strength meant silence. But I see now. All it did was hurt you." I swallowed hard. "You let her take everything. My scholarship. My pride. Today. Almost my wedding." His shoulders slumped. "I know. And I can't fix what I broke. But when Ray stepped in, when I saw him walk with you, it shattered me. Because it should have been me all along." The truth in his voice was raw. Honest. I took a deep breath. It's not about who walks me. It's about who shows up. Uncle Ray showed up. You did too. Eventually. His eyes glistened. "If you'll let me. I want to keep showing up." The ache in my chest loosened. For the first time I believed him. Inside, the music shifted, and my new husband appeared at the door, smiling. "They're waiting for us." I nodded, turning back to Dad. "Then walk me in. Not as the man who almost let me down, but as the father who finally stood up." He exhaled, relief breaking across his face. "I'd be honored." And so, we walked back together. Guests rose, clapping. Some cried. Uncle Ray raised his glass in a quiet salute. And me? I finally felt the spotlight. Not stolen, not borrowed, not dimmed by Celeste's shadow. Mine. Later, as the night faded and laughter turned to embers, I sat beside my husband, watching my father dance with Mom, awkward but smiling. 4 years, I had begged for acknowledgement. That night, I stopped begging. Because I had something stronger. Proof. Proof that even the deepest cracks can shift when the truth steps in. And when people ask about my wedding, I don't mention Celeste's tantrum or Dad's initial refusal. I just say, "He cracked when he saw who stepped in." Fade to black.